Thank you so much, Jan, for giving your time. And I've heard it already, but so I'm really excited for the people to hear it. I'd love it if you just share a bit about your first encounter, when you first encountered the reality of God and Jesus in your life. You could just share about that. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I have to go back a long time, 54 years, when I was 14. And for reasons I can't explain, I have no idea why, I decided it was time to see if God could be known. The reason I say I don't know where that thought came from is that I'm from a family that is completely unchurched. We didn't do church, we didn't talk about it, we just did family. If I can take one step back, I come from an area of Liverpool called Bootle, which is and was a troubled area, very high social deprivation indicators, but I didn't know that. Very poor education system, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that we were working class. I didn't know that we were poor. What I knew is that we were loved. That was it, really. I didn't know anything else for sure. So, for unspecified reasons, I looked. There was a church quite near to where we lived, St. Oswald's, which happened to be an Anglican church, but I didn't know that either. It was a church and it was local. I went there. And they were nice. They were nice people, a bit posh, but they were nice. And they used the book, which was helpful because I didn't have a clue whether you're supposed to stand or sit, didn't know any of the words. So it was helpful to follow a book, to be honest. But I didn't understand. The language was lovely. The language was very beautiful. It was very Shakespearean. I like words. I like stories. But I did not have a clue what they were talking about. I distinctly remember a phrase. It was always a communion service. I don't know if that's the rule, but it was always communion. And the phrase, the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. And I thought, oh, I have no idea what that means, but that sounds really good. Still didn't know what it meant. And I did look, but I was getting no closer to finding out who God was, where God was, until my sister, my older sister Barbara, came home, and she'd been going to a youth club, and she said she'd found Jesus. Well, that was very clever of her, because I hadn't found him, and I'd been looking. So she said perhaps she could tell me about it, and no, she could not tell me about it. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it on my own. But she said I might like to look at John's Gospel, chapter 3. So in the privacy of my own bedroom, which is one I shared with her and my younger sister, but at some point they must have been asleep, I don't know, I read John chapter 3. And I read verse 16 that said, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will never perish, but have everlasting life. And that was it. They were the words. I knew they were true. I knew God was. I knew that God loved me. I was definitely one of the whosoevers. And that was the beginning of my journey. So I had no theology. I had no understanding. I really did not have a clue what I was doing. I knew just two things, that I was loved and that he wanted to be part of my life. And that was it. And that's, as I say, 54 years ago. And since then, I've done lots of learning and I've done lots of unlearning. But the truth that it was then is very much the truth that it is now. I don't doubt him. He is. I don't doubt that he loves me. He does. And I know that we'll have tomorrows together as well as we do today. And in between, obviously, lots of stuff, but that's where it began. So in the beginning, for me, it was John chapter 3, verse 16. And the rest of it, as they say, is history.